Ben pitched great. Absolutely his best start of the year. On the attack, aggressive, and just in the strike zone a whole bunch, controlling counts a whole bunch. So it was outstanding performance.
How did using the opener benefit him today?
He pitched the second inning. Like I said before the game, you do it because you're going to avoid the first, their top of their lineup once. And then it gives you a little more control over kind of maybe, you're deeper in the game. But that's why you do it.
A lot of key contributions. The PCA catch, got Valencia again, stepping up, just the base running, like you say, all late. How do you guys?
Yeah, it was a clear, you had to embrace Wrigley today of the way the stadium was playing with the weather conditions, and so, defense matters, limiting walks matters. We did a really good job of getting the leadoff hitters on. We couldn't kind of get the next play to score for a little while, but eventually we broke through. And I think sometimes it's going to take more than one or two innings of a rally on a day like this to break through. And we put a bunch of pressure situations and rallies together and finally broke through.
Ballpark helps you win the game. Maybe an inexperienced guy playing right field here, sun field. That was it, right?
Yeah, I think it's it's a tough play. It's wind, the sun. It's the foul line is right on the wall. It's a tricky. There was a lot of action on kind of both lines today, and just a part of baseball. And we hit a ball in a good spot, I guess.
You've talked about base running all year, and Dansby, like on that grounder, hustling down the line, beating it out. Obviously that's also a big play in the sequence there.
Yeah, it gets us an extra run, absolutely, and it's the small thing, but I think it's a thing that all your teammates see, and you see the benefit of it, and it's when you ground out to shortstop, sometimes you're frustrated, right? But he said, "I'll be frustrated," and after 5 seconds, and he put together a great hard 90 and got us an extra run.
Is there anything Valencia is doing better in these recent weeks, do you think, besides just throwing strikes?
That's a big deal.
The pitching, just in general, when you say you just want guys who get outs, you put them in different spots. It's not easy to have consistency. They've been so consistent. So what's impressed you is you just took guys in spots.
Yeah, Brad Keller's pitching wonderfully. He's doing a heck of a job, and that was a great addition. Drew's been awesome, and Drew's handled that role, kind of whatever we asked of him. He's been an opener before. He's been a starter before, so he's done a great job of it. So we're pitching really well, particularly in the bullpen.
Early in the week, you talked about having the luxury of another left-handed pitcher because you were facing teams with good left-handed hitting. Obviously they'll work to your advantage today in your preparation. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the stretch of our schedule we're in is the teams have some dangerous left-handed hitting, and so I think you want to take advantage of that when you can, and at the same time keep those guys fresh. And I feel like, just in general, with the pitching performances we've gotten, we can do that, and we're set up to do that well, kind of moving forward here. And you don't know if it's going to help you, but I think it puts ourselves in a position to, put guys into places that they can be successful.
Did you notice anything different about Ben Brown? Just, obviously the results were different, but were there things that stuck out to you that why the opener worked so well?
Well, it was how he controlled counts. I think he just never. There was very few 3-ball counts even. I remember the Benson 3-ball count to lead off the 6th maybe. I'm not sure that he had another 3-ball count. Maybe in this first inning he did, obviously, but he just controlled counts, and that means he's early strikes. And on a day like today, it's like challenge hitters to put the ball in play, and the ball in the air is, the pop-up's got a better chance of being a hit than the well hit ball. That's which a weird thing to say, right? But that's the story of Wrigley Field on days like this.
Do you like coming to the park and seeing the wind come blowing in like that, or would you prefer it the other way?
It doesn't.
You can do it both ways.
It doesn't matter if I like it or not.
When you see it, you think, well, this is.
Yeah, I think it just. I think what you have to do is that's why we say embrace it. You have to accept it. I think if you fight it, you're going to have problems. You have to accept it, and you have to accept that it has to. And our players have to accept it, and they've done a really nice job of accepting it, and understanding that we've got to do some things differently. I don't think you hit differently. You try to square the ball up. It's hard enough to square the ball up, but I think it means that you really have to pay attention to some other things, and I think it changes things from a pitcher's mindset a little bit too. You really you have to challenge a hitter when in doubt, right? Even when you feel like it's dangerous to do it. But if the home runs, you really had to get a ball to hit a home run today, right? I think it has to change a little bit how you pitch, and it's a good thing. I think it makes you more aggressive.
Yeah, the Dansby thing was one thing, but maybe the inexperience of the shortstop on that play, not to charge it quite another. And you guys seem to have taken advantage of just about everything this year that the other team offers.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't. I mean, I credit Dansby there. I mean, a lot. I mean, I think I would credit Dansby there. I think our guy, you make him make a play or make him do something different. As you're running down the line, you have no sense of what's going on. You're just running hard. So, the game doesn't that you can complete that play like Dansby did 50 times and not be rewarded for it. So you don't know when you get rewarded for it, and that's what makes it hard. It sounds easy to say, but it makes it hard to do those other 49 times.
Catch Pete made in that. I mean, we all know his ability, but that sinking liner in front
Yeah.
of challenging is that.
Well, I think number one, if you're sitting anywhere behind the plate in the stands, that's the most fun ball to watch Pete go catch, right? Probably for you guys that have a great view of it. And it's just a ball like that's hit, and probably just because Pete's out there, you think he might have a chance. And it was a situation where you can, it's a 2-run game. It's green light to go for it too, right? 1-run game. That's where Dansby's play kind of comes in, and when you don't think about it, right? 1-run play. Do you go for that ball? Right, because it gets by you. 2-run play. You go for that ball. But it's fun watching him do it.
When there's the opener, what you did before the game, and then obviously it led to a lot of success today. So how you just were approaching it all.
Yeah, we really on the mental skills department and try to implement some things that would help me out, just calming the heart rate down that first inning. We're still working on things to eventually that I can go out there and start games in the future. But I think for this week, just to have the opener and to be able to just warm up like a reliever and have fun and get to have the bullpen guys send me off, and it was a really good executed plan, and it went all according to plan, and just thankful and grateful to even have the opportunity to pitch today. So it's a blessing, and all glory to the Lord that I can be sustained through the last couple of weeks. I've been really challenging and mentally, physically. So
Outside of the heart rate stuff, was there anything else in between starts or outings?
yeah, I threw a really long bullpen the other day, just trying to emulate getting up and sitting down, getting back up, trying to lock in on pitch one. I think we just saw that today. I think that from innings 1 to 6 for me at least, I felt like I was really able to slow the game down. Obviously the results were pretty good and there wasn't a lot of traffic, but I felt like I noticed just more out of me today, just more effort and execution, more focused execution, intent. Not like I wasn't carrying in other outings, but I think it was just more focused today.
JT talked about before the game how essential mental skills are, and how everybody has to use that to the best of their ability without, giving away what you don't want to. I mean, how has that benefited you in between starts and predominantly throughout the year?
Yeah, especially the start. It's just there's been a real lapse of execution in the first innings this year for me, and it's been hard. It's we saw it even in the Arizona game. I had a solid game, but that first inning just fell off, or the first batter especially, and then it kind of took something. I think we can even date back to last year. It was almost like I was waiting for something good to happen in the first inning rather than me being on attack and being the one that could execute those pitches. That was a theme of all my starts last year. There was always something. I can tell you every start that what was the thing that got me online. And that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not what it is like the rest of the game and the rest of the outing. So it's up to me to really, force the hand, but without overthrowing and without coming out of myself. And it's like an interesting dynamic. But like I said, I'm just thankful for the work that we've been putting in, and it doesn't stop. I have to be reminded of one thing today is that I felt really far out of it after these last two outings. And I'm a lot closer to today than I thought I was, and then I'm also a lot closer to those bad outings than I think I am right now. So I really have to just do a good job of staying level-headed and just pitch by pitch.
It's kind of funny how it worked out. The last two starts didn't go well, but 2-3 innings, 2, 3, 4, you cruised, and then you ended up doing the same thing today with racing the first inning.
Yeah, I think that was something we even kind of talked about yesterday for early guys that were there. It's just, I think that the fifth inning struggles this year have been more of a product of the first inning struggles, and I don't know if that's exactly the case, but we kind of saw it today. It's like I think it is really reflective of how I open up the game. I mean, today I opened up the game with a strike. I think if you want to go through all if I throw a ball one my next start, I'm not going to hit the panic button. But if you go through my last couple of starts, even dating back to last year, there's not a lot of strike ones to start the game. So that's just going to be important for me. And I think just having good executed, even like I said, even if it's ball one, there's no reason to hit the panic button. I can throw a strike. It's not that hard, but just pretty cool to see that.
Do you think you could go back to the first team next time, or is it something where you kind of want to follow this along, or you kind of formulate thoughts on it in terms of working with an opener or not?
Yeah, whatever works best for the team. Like I said, I'm just thankful to have opportunities to pitch, but we are working on things to eventually let me start baseball games again. But I'm not in charge of that. I'm just in charge of just controlling my attitude and my effort, and I'm just grateful to be a big leaguer today.
You talked a couple times about how you were waiting for something good to happen. Were you feeling like bad things were going to happen and waiting for that good thing to happen?
Yeah, I think it's more so like you're just kind of beating around the bush a little bit, and like, it's not like I'm intentionally saying to myself, but it's like, I think you see it plenty when a guy's really struggling, and then he just hits a screamer line drive right to the shortstop, and all of a sudden the pitcher just starts figuring it out. It's almost like been that every single game for me. There's been some good ones sprinkled in there, but a lot of the time it's like, if we go back those last two games, in Miami, for instance, if those two home runs were fly balls, the 3-0 and 3-1, or even the first one, if that was just a line drive right at Pete in center, there might be a chance that that's a different game. And like that's not how I should go about my business. That's taking the control out of my ability and just letting it all out to chance, rather than like, hey, what are some practical things I can do to like execute pitches from the get-go? And that's the focus now is how do we do that time in and time out. And I have to wake up tomorrow morning and restart and go with the same urgency like I just had to blow up outings like I did. So today doesn't really change that.
You talked about the work that you put in leading up to the start. I know it wasn't the first inning, but it was still a first inning.
Yeah.
To get the results, what did that do to kind of reinforce the work that you put in and allow you to kind of ease into the rest of the outing?
Well, definitely starting out the game without a 2 or 4 in front of your stat line helps. It's pretty hard to pitch like that because you're in a hole. So that was really cool, and I'm really blessed for the teammates and the coaches and the on the baseball side and off the field side. It's just I'm really thankful, and yeah.
I didn't look, but I mean, how many times were we able to try to change up a little bit more?
Yeah,
out?
6% usage today. So you
6%
guys can write that down. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Are you-
Eventually, there's going to be no more. I'm not sure about the whole 2-pitch, as that's going to work in the big leagues. So, yeah, you guys are going to figure out something new. So.
Trust us, we will. The 6% though, you were happy with the quality of
Yeah, I think there was one that I just kind of pooped up there and upper in the zone that wasn't effective. The rest were like pretty good rips. So I'm really happy with how that's been progressing, and just got to keep on it. Yeah.
Did it feel like a no-hitter at all in 6th inning? Or
I was definitely due for a broken bat single, just based off of how this year's been going. Yeah.
But you knew you had one, or you and Drew had one.
Yeah, but I mean, that would have been asking for too much after those last 2 outings. So I was like, oh, no hitter too, and then, that's too much. So I'm just thankful, just thankful I got to get out there and throw strike one and get through the first inning and slowly just start getting my confidence back.
And I think his stuff's been really good all year, and the difference is just being ahead in counts and throwing strikes and being in the zone. His stuff is obviously really good. We've seen that at a bunch of different points where he's got the ability to strike a lot of guys out and to get some weak contact. So, for him to fill up the zone on a day like today, the only thing that was going to beat him today was walks with the conditions. And so to fill up the zone and be super aggressive was great to see.
How has it felt from you at the plate? I mean, recently, obviously, everybody was coming back off the IL.
Yeah. I mean, you take 10 days off, it's an adjustment back, whether that's timing or, the feel in the box. And today felt a little bit better, right-handed, getting back to hitting some balls hard and getting some balls in the air, which felt good. And, still working through things, still trying to get to a place where I feel really comfortable. But that's kind of parts of the season that's going to happen.
As someone that's played here a long time, how difficult is it for the outfielder with no foul line, trying to figure out the sun and everything?
Yeah, I think it's a really tough play. I think especially at that point of the game, right field's getting the most amount of sun, plus the ball's moving in the foul line. And you don't know, it's kind of different balls play differently. There was one, I think McLean hit today that carried a little bit on Pete in center. We were all a little bit surprised by it. And then Ellie hits the ball 103 and it's coming backwards. And so sometimes that ball to right field's going to end up 30 rows deep in the stands. Sometimes like that, it's going to stay. And so, we're lucky to have a lot of experience out here and be able to deal with it. But definitely when opposing teams come in and have an understanding for getting out of the box and knowing that it's going to be challenging.
That catch by Pete in the ninth, Craig said, with his skill set, you kind of almost expect him to catch.
Yeah.
What was your vantage point of that play?
Yeah, I mean, great jump. I think, that ball was sinking and he just got a great beat on it. And, for us as corner guys playing next to him, you just go back him up because, he's going to be flying after it and trying to make a play. So, huge spot there to get that second out and not let him have any momentum. But, yeah, he's been fantastic out there.
Is that an underappreciated part of his game? I mean, he seems like he recognizes where the ball's going pretty quickly off the bat.
He gets fantastic jumps, especially to the left field side. Like, the numbers don't lie. It's pretty crazy. Not only his speed, but his ability to see the ball off the bat and get just incredible jumps. And Wrigley doesn't do him any justice for how far he can run and for how much room there is. Plays you get him in a place like Colorado, you get him in a place where there's a big outfield and he can run around. It's pretty incredible just how good the jumps are and how accurate his reads are.
So he's just taught to get down the line. It's really that simple. You never can take any play for granted, just in any situation as a player, and just got going down the line. And fortunately for us, was able to beat the throw and give us a little bit of an insurance run. Going into the top of the ninth.
Even just mentally, can you describe it? Because like Counsell was saying, I mean, it's still this ground ball off the bat, and you can initially be frustrated and not do what you did. So what it takes, is it awareness also in that moment to know you just gotta...
Maybe just running in anger, maybe. Just that's the way you kind of get it out. But I mean, yeah, not everything's going to go perfect. Not everything's going to go kind of the way that you want it to in a game. Moments in the season, like there's struggles, there's ups and downs, but effort is always one thing that you can consistently give, and it worked out today for us.
It's kind of like a relief, though, to get that play after the struggles you had before that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways you can impact the game, not just offensively or are only at the plate offensively. Like there's base running things that can be done. There's defensive plays. There's so many different ways, and that was just one of the ways that it happened today. So it's good for us to be able to get the win. We had a lot of guys step up, especially on the mound today, and it was a good win.
What did you think about Ben Brown bouncing back kind of in that behind that opener?
Yeah, no, I thought he threw the ball well. He commanded the ball well. His misses were in good spots. His fastball misses were up, and his breaking ball misses were down, which is a really good sign. He's got such good stuff. He knows that. We've talked about it. He's just got really, really good stuff. It's just a matter of where he's missing and even being able to slow the game down at times. I thought he did a really, really good job today.
He was talking pretty eloquently about working through mental skills in terms of dealing with his struggles in the first inning and kind of getting back on track in those last 2 outings. What does it say about you kind of like to see him work that hard and see that sort of toughness in him and not only putting that work in but being eloquent and talking about it?
I really think the first step of that is just awareness, right? Like sometimes we can look in the wrong places to know why are things not working, and he's a smart kid and he knows what he needs to do, and it's just impressive that he can go out and make that change so quickly, to be able to recognize it and get to work on it right away and then go and trust it. So good for him.
When you're a young player, is that the hardest thing? You don't have that long bank of success to kind of draw upon and lean on?
Yes and no, right? I think experience is the best teacher, and the only way to get experience is to actually go through stuff. For Ben, some of it is being able to kind of trial and error some things, and that can be a little bit scary, when you're a young kid, because you feel like if you're going to fail, then you're either letting people down or you might be getting sent down or those kinds of things. But for him to be able to just recognize what he needed to do and go do it is freaking awesome. We need him. He's such a big part of this team, and he's got a big, long career ahead of him.
We've talked a lot about the Wrigley win, but especially this year, even the way you guys play, encourages not relying on the long ball. But how did last year help at all to not change at bats this year to try to force things? Maybe when last year that could have been the case.
I think this sometimes reality is reality, right? Like a day like today is going to be really hard to score runs. I think the final score being 2-0, even yesterday, just it's hard to score a lot of runs at times here, and you just got to embrace that. You got to embrace doing all the little things right. You got to embrace the base running, whether it's bunting or playing defense, and all the different ways you can attack the game. It's not just by slugging, is something that we've obviously done a really good job of this year.